In 2004, Mark Zuckerberg launched Facebook from his Harvard dorm room, and the world hasn't been the same since. Facebook was not the first social media site. 6 Degrees was launched in 1997, Friendster in 2002, and MySpace in 2003. But Facebook was the first social media platform to have massive global success, topping 1 billion users in 2013. Facebook has been followed by platforms such as Twitter in 2006, Instagram in 2010, and TikTok in 2016, all of which have users in the billions. The rise and proliferation of social media has changed the way that society communicates and interacts. It has changed the way that we consume content, find entertainment, find jobs, find love, do business, market, and advertise. It is nearly impossible to find an industry that has not been revolutionized by social media, and the industry of sports is no exception. Social media has given athletes and sports fans a platform to speak their mind directly to the world in an instant. It has connected athletes, media members, and fans directly to each other in an unprecedented way. For over a century, the communication between athletes and their fans has been mediated by journalists, writers, editors, and producers in the traditional media forms such as newspapers, magazines, radio, and television. Social media has completely changed this relationship, enabling athletes to speak directly to fans and fans to speak directly to athletes. This immense change brought about by the proliferation of social media has come at an unfathomable velocity. I would say that social media has only been a true fixture in American life and society since around 2013 when Facebook hit 1 billion members, meaning social media has only had this status for a little over a decade. Because of this insane rate of this radical change, society is still trying to figure out the role of social media and still trying to understand its impacts. Put another way, we're still trying to catch up. Social media platforms come with a term of service, but they don't exactly come with a user guide. Social media can offer a lot of benefits to fans, athletes, and sports media members, but can also come with a lot of pitfalls that cause a variety of problems for users, including exposure to harassment and adverse effects on mental health. Social media has democratized personal branding for many, athletes included. No longer does an athlete have to be at the very pinnacle of their respective sport to receive brand deals and sponsorships. Any prominent athlete can build an athletic brand via social media, including both professional and college athletes in the new age of the NCAA's name, image, and likeness, or NIL. Social media offers a more personal relationship between athletes and fans. Athletes can speak directly to their fans, and fans can respond directly to the athletes. Athletes can divulge details about their personal lives, share personal experiences, and receive messages of support from fans. In 2018, NBA players DeMar DeRozan and Kevin Love took to social media to reveal details about their struggles with mental health. Love and DeRozan were met by an outpouring of support and grace from fans, welcoming the athletes' approach of vulnerability and honesty. DeRozan and Love were able to serve as role models and set an example for fans, and those responding fans were able to create a welcoming environment for these athletes, along with future athletes, to come forward with their experiences. Ultimately, this interaction between DeRozan and Love and the fans challenged the stigma around mental illness and has made it easier for athletes and fans to share their own similar experiences. The effects of social media aren't all positive, though. Just as fans have unprecedented access to praise athletes in times of success, they also have unprecedented access to criticize athletes in times of failure. Criticism of an athlete doesn't end when the athlete steps out of the arena or off of the field. Instead, it is a 24/7 affair. Take the example of Cody Parkey in the NFL playoffs in 2019. In a wildcard game between the Bears and Eagles, Parkey's game-deciding kick was tipped at the line, hit the upright, then the crossbar, before falling to the field as an unsuccessful field goal attempt. This sealed the game in favor of the Eagles in a play that became known as the double doink. In a study of over 500 tweets about Parkey's field goal attempt, about 75% were found to be negative in the form of criticism, threats, and anger. In the week following the double doink, Parkey appeared on the Today Show, revealing among other things that he was avoiding social media, with the implication that it was because he knew what he would find there. I'm David Neville, and for this podcast, I spoke to 4 experts on the topic of social media in sports. The first clip I'm going to show you is from my interview with James Seltzer, producer for Philadelphia sports radio station 94 WIP's Morning Show, and host of the Go Birds and High Hopes podcasts. James and I discussed the proliferation of social media in sports and sports media. And my first question to James was about his adjustment to the explosion of social media.
I do for my job, it's mostly been the explosion and growth of Twitter that has changed how we do business. And it really has been as a news source, as a breaking news source, as a source to get information on players, on both information about whether it's, specific stuff about contracts or whatever it is, or about just the players themselves. Like, they can speak to you, players interacting with fans. Like, it's really changed the landscape of sports media. I think the last thing I said is probably the thing that I've felt the most recently, the most, because the Twitter exploding and becoming a breaking news source and us using it. We use our poll questions on Twitter. There's all these ways to interact with the audience. If we do segments, we'll ask for questions from Twitter users and all that. So social media does have an interactive effect with the show, as well as, again, the like it becoming the main source of news for us during a show and about sports. But I think the most interesting thing that's happened over the last decade, really the last like 5 years, it feels like it's become such a big part of sports, has been the athletes themselves having these platforms and using them to interact with fans, to interact with media. I mean, we will have days where our show is based on like AJ Brown tweeting at a fan or something, and that'll be a topic. So I think you've seen social media in a lot of different ways, both in a news source way, but also in a interactive way, in multiple ways, really changed how we do what we do.
Yeah, and I guess as a follow-up to that, do you think that being active on social media is like a necessity for people entering that field of sports media, like you're in?
So I think it depends on what type of sports media you do. I think it's at some level a necessity. Like, I think you need to have some sort of presence. And also, like, I'm already established, as you pointed out, like I kind of got in before social media was a necessary part. I do think it can help you if you have a platform, if you have followers, if you have all that stuff to get jobs in sports media. I mean, we've seen a lot of people, whether it's like betting people or stuff like that, who've literally like gotten jobs at ESPN ultimately because of stuff they did on Twitter. So I do think that social media is important for that perspective, but I think it's levels of important are different for different industries. I mean, like if if you want to be Adam Schefter, like, you better freaking have a social media presence. You better be able to get, to be understand social media and how to do that type of stuff, because that's a big part of your job. That's like your main outlet for people to get your information. But if you do what I do, like, it's important to have social media. It's important to be out there. But at the same time, like, I don't think it's as imperative for me in radio as it would be maybe in some other segments of sports media. But on a baseline level, yeah, I think you have to have some sort of both presence and understanding and ability to use those platforms. And again, I think it's escalating in importance in different areas of sports media.
James brought a tremendous amount of insight on the benefits of social media to our discussion. To get further perspective on this topic, I also spoke with Eagles insider Dave Spadaro. As Eagles insider, Dave serves as a reporter directly for the team, writing articles, providing halftime updates, interviewing team personnel, and helping convey team messaging to fans. Dave gave me a great inside look into how a professional sports organization uses social media and advises its players on social media use. What you'll hear first is Dave's response to my question, asking him to detail the adjustment that he has had to make throughout his career in response to the rise of social media.
For me, social media was and has been a very much of learning to embrace its relevance. I remember Howard Eskin always used to say, "It's not social and it's not media," and he was completely wrong. And that speaks to kind of the breakdown of the traditional old school media thinking and today's modern media. Very much like when the internet came along, newspapers were really, really slow to adapt to the relevance of this thing called the internet, the World Wide Web. And so you have to respect what the social media is, what it's become. It's given everyone a platform to present their perspective on things. Um, from the Philadelphia Eagles, it's changed the way we've done business, and it's changed my job tremendously through the years. So it's a very powerful force. It's continuing to evolve, and it is clearly where folks are getting their information for better and unfortunately for worse, as I see it in society.
You yourself, you're pretty active on social media. Particularly, I saw you're pretty active on Instagram. Um, can you explain why you choose to engage in social media? What benefits maybe it has to you as Eagles insider?
Yeah, so I will tell you this. My role with the Eagles does not really include much social media. I am now the old guy, and what my Instagram handle is, and I did Twitter for a long time. I stopped doing Twitter. Twitter's a cesspool of just anger. And the Eagles don't, there's no, the way we use Twitter is as a just a news source and reporting source, and then furthering some of the promotions that we want to do. Um, I do Instagram to promote the Eagles. Generally shoot things. I very rarely include myself in any of my Instagram posts. It's really just an opportunity to promote the Eagles. So I recognize that Eagles fans have an insatiable appetite. And this has been the case forever. This is kind of one of the keys to my career is that, look, Eagles fans have an insatiable appetite for the Philadelphia Eagles. And the more access that you can give them, um, the more they're going to gobble it all up. And so that's kind of what I use my Instagram for. And it also promotes my brand, Eagle Insider, and that's what it is. But I've got 53,000 followers, and that's a good following. But my career success does not hinge or nor fail on the number of followers that I have. And when I'm retired from this business, my followers will be gone because I will not be shooting myself, getting an ice cream cone, or I will not be putting my life on public forum because I don't really find that to be something that I desire. I don't want to be in the public eye that way in my private life. Um, and so, the Eagles, however, use Instagram and TikTok and Twitter and everything to promote the Philadelphia Eagles. And most of it, 99% of it comes from the voice of the players and the coach. And I think this is a very significant shift in how social media has become the platform for sports, that instead of allowing others to tell the story of the athlete or the game or the moment or the decision, social media allows the team and the player slash coach to present in their words um, the message. Much like podcasts. What the revolution of social media is that it allows everyone, me, you, anybody, to create their own message and to create their own platform. And when I speak to kids and they go into the field of journalism or social media or whatever it is, um, the message is, A, get experience. Nobody will ever ask for your grades. B, create as much content as you can. Experiment with as much content as you can. And social media gives you that opportunity, and you see it all over the place. There's this thirst for attention, and people have gained a lot of wealth and popularity and relevance from presenting themselves in this manner. And so I give them a lot of credit for that, and I think it's wonderful that people are doing it, and I think that people have had a great understanding of what it is, and I think it's interesting that as the older population doesn't really, there's like a segment of it that kind of just like goes, social media, rah, rah, get off my lawn. Well, that's not really the way to do it. Like, if you can't recognize how important social media is and how popular social media is, you're just doing yourself a disservice. So, that's kind of why I do it. I don't do it to promote Dave Spadaro necessarily. I'm part of a team. I get enough attention. My success comes from the success of the team first. So nobody here is in it for themselves. They're here for the team. Along with that, certainly you gain some prominence, but I don't use my social media to like I'm not on TikTok. Like I don't really care about that. I'm very happy in my little Instagram corner, my little niche with Instagram, and I don't really feel the need to do anything more. Maybe to my detriment, who knows? But I'm happy with where I am in life, and so I don't feel like I need to attract more attention to myself.
So, what do you know about how the Eagles organization and the NFL as a whole sort of address their players, as far as advising or maybe guiding their social media activity to make sure maybe it's responsible or
Sure. I
intentional?
mean, and look, and that's part of the great, that's part of the message from day one for decades. When a player, and these are kids, right? These are kids. These are 22-year-old kids. When you come into the organization, you are given a talking to, and these are the expectations. And whether you're a staff member, a coach, a player, whatever, you are you have a responsibility to present both yourself and the organization in a professional, positive manner. Our mantra here is obviously to win as many football games as you can, win the Super Bowl, of course, and certainly use this platform to help those who are underserved. But it's on the walls here at the NovaCare complex to inspire and serve the greatest football community in the world every day. And so to do that, you don't go out there and act like a knucklehead. It's not all me, 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 me. And there have been instances in the past where we've had players who have had um, faux pas, if you will, on traditional media, on television, so whatever, bad reporting, bad interviews with reporters, etc., and on social media. And so, yes, when a player comes into the building, when they become Philadelphia Eagles, they are given a very detailed, um, what's the word? A very detailed explanation of what is expected of them on social media. And fortunately, like that goes kind of back to where you want high character people and you want people who are team oriented, etc. And so social media tends to be um, more of an individualistic uh, opportunity in a team oriented environment. So, but we've knock on wood here, we've found that players are really receptive to that, and in fact, kind of want to just focus on football and not have to focus on the self-promotion part that social media kind of is. So, and the team is extremely aggressive with the way we promote the team, with the way we promote the players, in a positive and productive light. And, I think that's what fans want to see.
Next question is, do you have any specific examples of maybe positive sort of interactions that have come about, either between maybe yourself and Eagles fans, maybe between, something that you saw between a player and an Eagles fan? I know maybe this is putting you on the spot a little bit to
No,
come up with an example, but do you have any
I'll,
that really
I'll give you,
highlight?
I'll give you a great example of how it worked unbelievably well in 2023. Uh, our social media team had two sideline passes. And I forget what game it was, so don't quote me on that. But like walking around the Head House Plaza area, Pepsi Plaza area, hey, first person that says yes, gets these two tickets. So the tickets went to this man and woman, Terrence and Marie. Terrence and Marie go down on the field and they're shooting themselves. Oh my gosh, this is amazing! Oh my gosh, this is amazing! I can't believe we're on the field. And it blew up. Millions of views on all the platforms, millions. And so then we expanded it and we brought them in and we did a tour through NovaCare with them. And, we maybe took them to a game and they became like this very cute cultural phenomenon that fans could connect with because every fan would love to. I mean, every person would love to have somebody walk up and say, here's your Willy Wonka golden tickets. And this happened to be the Willy Wonka two sideline passes to a regular season game for a pregame. And it was just really cool to see like these regular, normal people appreciating what the Eagles did so much. The Eagles appreciating so much what the fans are and what is important to the fans, and the kind of bringing them into the family and putting our arms around them. And I mean, it was just an incredible example of the power of social media. Because once it got huge on social media, it then got picked up by the more traditional media and just became, in a season that turned really south, that was a really wonderful moment. And just an example of the power of social media. And like everything that we did this year with this past season, Super Bowl winning season with social media was like stuff just blew on up, man. And again, the ability of social media to grow the fan base and specifically really to grow young fans. I mean, that's kind of the importance of social media with a team. You're looking for new young fans. And how do you become a fan? There's so many ways, right? Your family's been fans for generations. You just happen to go to an event or saw somebody on TV, you like somebody's uniform, you like a player who came from college, they won the, whatever. Well, sometimes social media works as well to those fans who are kind of casual fans who really aren't into it. We've seen tremendous growth in our social media. Of course, the team is winning and that helps a lot, but our social media, um, the effort that the Philadelphia Eagles put towards social media is significant. And the people who work in the social media departments, they work their butts off. You have to understand that when you work in social media, you are never off. You are never off. And our group is just tops in the world and awesome at it. And it's just been really fun to see all this whole thing grow.
Dave gave a great inside perspective on how social media is used within the Philadelphia Eagles organization and how they use social media as an opportunity to promote their team, setting a great example for other professional sports clubs to follow suit. I also sought to understand more about social media's role in college sports in the age of the NCAA's name, image, and likeness, or NIL. For this, I spoke with Brooke Donabedian, NCAA Division I gymnast at Temple University. Brooke is a graduate student and a 5-year Temple athlete who in 2024 tied a Temple University record for floor, and in 2025 became the first Temple Owl to be named EAGL Specialist of the Year.
When would you say that you started to use social media, not just for social and personal use, but also with the intention of building a personal brand and promoting your athletic career?
I started posting more frequently on social media and kind of building my media when um, name, image, and likeness was allowed in the NCAA. So my sophomore year in college.
Um, do you have any examples of any sort of positive social media experiences or interactions that you've had? And I'm leaving this pretty broad, but pertaining to your athletic career, with fans, media, anything like that, anything that stands out to you?
Yeah, for sure. I think for me personally, since I'm a gymnast, it's meaningful when I get DMs or comments from younger athletes who kind of just talk about how they enjoy my content and watching me compete. Um, those are kind of the most meaningful interactions for me because it feels good to know that um, a younger audience likes seeing what I have to post and following me. I don't know if they found me through social media or just found me from gymnastics in general, but it feels good to have that kind of support.
You've been able to take advantage of NCAA's name, image, and likeness policy. And I noticed that you have some items in the Temple NIL store. So can you tell me kind of how you got involved with the Temple NIL store and, what the role of social media has been in promoting those items and, your larger brand as an athlete?
Yeah, so that brand specifically, they actually allow any university student specifically at Temple. Any athlete can have an NIL store and have their gear and monetize off of that. But I specifically have a couple other items as well that are a little bit more personal, and I think only a select few might have it for now. I think it was just kind of like a trial kind of thing for the athletes who have more of that social kind of thing going on right now. But I've been able to monetize off that because friends and family who want to purchase gear with my name on it, and others too, who might be like fans, that would be pretty cool. I'd like to think that more people are also purchasing that. But yeah, and I'm able to monetize, which is really cool. And I think the NIL store is one of the better kind of gear stores for student athletes to be able to monetize from in terms of like percentage that we get from that. So it's cool.
Yeah, and is social media like the primary way that you kind of promote that, and I don't know if advertise is the right word, but kind of put out word about that?
Yeah, I definitely do advertise it more on my social media. I have the link in my bio. If the NIL store posts some kind of graphic talking about Temple Gymnastics or like highlighting some of my gear, then I'll repost that on my story. I know when it first came out, I collaborated with them just so my following saw that it was out there, because it's going to be easier for me to tell everyone to purchase it through my social media. So social media has definitely probably played a role in the purchasing of my stuff.
Do you have any advice, for athletes? Maybe there's an athlete entering their, that's going to enter their freshman year at a school like Temple, and how to approach their social media use.
Yeah, I advocate more for student athletes to get into the NIL space, because I think it's a great way to make money. We're obviously not getting paid, but if there's an opportunity for a student athlete to make money from posting a picture on Instagram or that kind of thing, like take advantage of that. I think it's a really great opportunity, and I'm glad that we're allowed to be able to do those things with NIL.
Brooke provided great firsthand insight into the benefits of social media for collegiate athletes. College athletes in many ways, particularly at the Division I level, work and compete in their respective sports very similarly to professional athletes, but they are not paid a salary in the same way professional athletes are. The arrival of NIL has opened a lot of doors for collegiate athletes to profit from their athletic performance and personal brands. And social media plays a massive role for these athletes promoting their personal brands and seizing NIL opportunities. My final conversation was with John Kincaid, host of Philadelphia sports radio station 97.5 The Fanatics morning show, Kincaid and Salchunas. John has also worked with 610 WIP in Philadelphia, 790 The Zone and 680 The Fan in Atlanta, ESPN Radio, CBS Sports Radio, the Philadelphia Flyers, the Atlanta Thrashers, and co-hosted the Big Podcast with Shaquille O'Neal. Similarly to my interview with Dave Spadaro, my first question to John was about his adjustment to the proliferation of social media.
We try to really implement it into our shows and use a social media type interaction. And I think it's essential to anyone who is a personality that wants to host a show, podcast, or whatever you're doing, that they find a way to interact with their audience. I find social media is a great, free, easy way to do it. It's treacherous, but it's an absolute necessity. But from when I started, when it was just pretty much call us on the phone, to all the different ways people get in touch with you now, it's amazing.
Yeah. You yourself are pretty active on social media, specifically Instagram and Twitter or X. You already explained it a little bit in your first answer, but can you explain why you choose to engage in social media, and then speak more to the benefits that it serves you, I guess, personally as a radio host?
Well, everybody, and you may have learned this in my class, everybody has to create a brand. And whatever you do on social media, from the time you're a student at Temple to the time you get hired in a job, everything you've done brands yourself. And when employers are looking, they see your brand online. They see what you're about. Are you angry? Are you excitable? Do you tweet all the time? Are you someone who's more selective? Are you more thoughtful about how you interact? As a host, I have to continue to cultivate the brand that I built. And the way that you do that is give people accessibility to you. I keep my DMs open. so people can send me messages. I try to respond to those as frequently as I can. We'll throw stuff out on the air, and we'll throw a selective tweet or otherwise so people can interact with us. It's essential, because there was a time when I would drive down in Atlanta, and one of the biggest billboards down the major interstate had my picture on it. And it was like, wow, that was the day. You rarely ever see radio shows or anything on billboards anymore, because social media is what your employer considers your chance to promote yourself and promote your show. And that's how you try to do it.
I'm wondering if you have any specific examples of positive interactions that you've had personally on social media with maybe any of your listeners. I assume many people probably reached out when you were going through your cancer battle.
Sure. There's a lot of positivity in that. It's a good way to be able to, I shared my cancer battle very publicly because I knew I was going to continue to work. I decided on not taking a leave of absence because I felt if I took a leave of absence, I'd go nuts in my house. So I did double chemotherapy for 7 months, and I did it, and my audience took the trip along with me on the air. And if they watched on YouTube, they saw me. They saw the wear and tear it took on my body. They would go through it with me. And there were so many positive interactions. But what's amazing is there was the positive interactions when I had cancer of people just reaching out and wanting to express their support or to ask questions. And now, after I've survived cancer for the 3rd time in my life, I now get listeners that will say, John, my dad got cancer. I just found out he had cancer. My brother just found out he had cancer. Do you have any suggestions or anything I can do? And I always consider that like a way that it's a positive connection with the audience, because they look to you as somebody who's, first of all, credible and somebody that they trust. And you talk with them and you interact with them, and I swear some of these people become like family. Like they look at you as, okay, he's a really good dude, and it's a chance to share some of the benefit of the grace and everything that was shown to me by listeners, and to give it back. So I always look at it that way.
Yeah, so you're able to have sort of that personal connection that maybe obviously someone wouldn't have with you listening to you over the air. You're able to connect with them on a more personal, one-on-one level.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the idea of creating you're an open forum, you're an open image. People know. Because once again, as I told you guys in class back at Temple here, the idea of, I always think that there's many, many people who will disagree with my opinions on sports. But if they listen to the show and they find out a little bit about you, they may say, hey, I admire him. He's a cancer survivor. I hear he's a dad. He talks about being a dad. I know that he's a husband. He tells funny stories about being married and everything. So you've got to find ways to relate. And social media allows you a medium to let people in as much as you want to your private life and your public life, and to give them a little window to the soul. And hopefully that's a positive place, a positive interaction that creates more of a bond with the listener.
You already alluded to this, but I'll ask it anyway. Do you think that social media has democratized the economic opportunities available to professional athletes, allowing non-star athletes to build their personal brand? And do you think that applies for media members as well?
Oh, I do. I mean, I think that it's because everybody has their own little space of cyberspace where they can create whatever kind of image they want, brand that they want, and then they will have brands that will come after them and want to be a part of it. There are, I don't want to say scrub athletes, but athletes that are more towards the end of the bench. Maybe it's a really good-looking guy who's an athlete. Maybe something that, and all of a sudden they get opportunities because, hey, somebody wants them to wear their clothes. Somebody wants them to drink their liquor. Someone wants them to, put their headphones on, and they're telegenic or whatever it is. It really does open the playing field for, you don't have to just get your advertising and opportunities like that through a team. Same thing goes with the radio station. My personal brand, I can brand anything that I want. I don't tend to do that. I tend to more keep it to the radio. But if you do, I just brand something as #ad, and I will promote something. But usually I do it very, very selectively, because I think if people start to look at your social media feeds as they're being sold something, it takes away a little of that personal nature, and someone thinks, okay, this guy's trying to get one over on me. He wants me to do something. And people, I think, tend to turn that stuff off.
In your time covering, sports in the sort of age of social media, do you have any, specific examples that come to mind of maybe positive interactions that you've seen between athletes and fans on social media, or just an athlete in general that you think uses social media in a really positive way?
I think there's ones that do it well. I know that there are athletes that will reach out and give their fans something. It's funny, as Darius Slay just left town. He's going to leave in free agency. But Darius Slay and his wife would give out, hey, we got a pair of tickets to Sunday's game. And you'd literally be sitting with his wife and their friend right next to them. And they would give away tickets to every game. And I thought that was a cool thing on social media. Very, very active. Many times a athlete will do something where they will, maybe they'll go, I saw one of the Phillies go to attend a Little League game. And the place just goes nuts. And they had an association with the coach. But a chance to just use it to say, I'm going to come out and I'm going to do a pitching thing. I know our own Ricky Batalico at 97.5 The Fanatic, former Philly. I'm going to do a pitching clinic. Every coach who reaches out to me, I'm going to put you into a hat, and I'd be willing to do a pitching clinic with your high school team. And there's things like that can be done that can be really, really positive. And I came back with a few trinkets from the Super Bowl and was just like, I'd like to share a couple of them with the listeners. If you want to get involved, just send me a DM. I'm going to pick somebody at random and they're going to get it.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's fun to do. It's fun to do.
The proliferation of social media has revolutionized the industries of sports and sports media. It has had unbelievable and unpredictable benefits, completely democratizing personal branding and economic opportunities for both professional and collegiate athletes. Social media has allowed for athletes to control their own narratives and to forge more personal relationships with their fans. That said, the effects of social media are not all positive. Social media carries a number of risks for those in the sports community that use it, including harassment and adverse effects on mental health. This is what I will explore with my interview subjects in the next episode of Online Ovations and Cyberbullying.